Happy New Year, rockers. Welcome back to Nashville on the Rocks, the show that brings you the best of rock and roll straight from Music City. I'm Lisa Karkos, your host, and we're stoked to kick off our first episode of 2025 with a bang. Today we have an incredible guest, a true Nashville rock native who's been tearing up the music scene with his talent and unwavering determination. Not only is he a renowned guitarist who takes the stage with some of the biggest names in rock, including Gene Simmons and Frehley from Kiss, but he has also embarked on a stellar new project called Rock City Machine Company, produced by none other than the esteemed producer Marty Fredrickson. Our featured guest is also the founder of the Rock and Roll Residency, a legendary Nashville event that pays homage to some of the greatest rock and roll from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. This incredible event has seen the likes of rock's biggest names, including Roger Glover of Deep Purple and Rainbow, Don Airey of Rainbow and Ozzy Osbourne, and Robin Zander of Cheap Trick, just to name a few. With such an impressive resume, we can't wait to dive into the stories and music that have shaped this musician's colorful career. So grab a cocktail and get ready as we hope you enjoy this episode with our friend, Jeremy Asbrock. Thank you, Jeremy, so much for coming to the show today. We're so excited to have you here.
It's good to be here. I don't normally do interviews somewhere else, and there's like cameras and mics,
right?
And lighting. This isn't a podcast. This is a show.
This is a show. Oh my God! Thank you so much for saying that. And it's so much different when you do things in studio now than doing things over Zoom. You know, the feel is so much different. I don't even know if I could do this podcast through Zoom. I would have to like take
show.
You
just call it a show.
Just call it a show from now on. Yeah, that's true. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in and watching us, or if you're listening to us, thank you for doing that. And we have our guest today is a wonderful rock guitarist, Jeremy Asbrock. You are so well known in the Nashville music scene.
A staple. Do you know why?
Why?
Because I've been here my whole life.
Well, I mean, that's not the only reason. Did a lot of stuff here,
man. I put in the 10,000 hours.
Yeah, and then some, right?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I don't know. How many hours are in a year?
Right. Well, thank you so much for coming here. We have so much to talk to you about today. So you are obviously the Nashville unicorn. You are born and raised here.
I am. I was born in Murfreesboro, raised in Smyrna.
Wow.
And then I graduated high school and moved to Nashville proper like 2 weeks after graduation. So I've like been in the Nashville city limits for 31 years.
Wow, okay. That's so cool. So you've seen all the changes happen over time. You've seen all the music changes too on top of it.
I have.
Oh my God.
You know what's really strange, man, is like if you're like a native here, I don't detect like that southern accent,
all
man.
Right, so,
why?
This is accurate.
So, you know, when I became an adult and I moved out and, you know, just kind of started traveling a little bit, I made a conscious effort to get rid of my southern accent, and then I started going to England with a band, which we'll probably talk about a little bit later, but they really loved the southern accent, so I stopped fighting it so hard. So, you know, when I hear myself talk, I can hear it a little bit, but yeah.
A little bit, but you know, I mean, you got a handle on it, man.
Overwhelming like most natives.
Sure.
Here.
Well,
and I've been in the rock scene, you know, like traveling for a pretty long time. And, you know, there weren't really a lot of rockers from here. So,
yeah, that's another thing that I definitely want to touch base on. When you're traveling all over the place, you're definitely just intermingled with, and you're, you know, even the amount of time that I've been here, like there's so many people from, I can't even tell where everybody is from at this point. I used to be very clear to me.
It's a transient city now. I mean, like when you come to Nashville, you're not going to meet a lot of Nashvillians anymore.
No. I don't know where they are. Either they moved away or they're just further spread out.
All the houses got expensive, so they sold their houses and went and bought cheap houses somewhere else. I don't know where they are either.
That sounds about right.
You know, as a native, Jeremy, like, how do you feel about the influx of people coming in here? I mean, it's good for business. It's good for stuff, right?
Sure. I don't really care. In fact, like when it initially started, I mean, look, man, all of my friends are from somewhere else. You know,
yeah,
right.
Most people are cool, and they're just coming here because there's opportunities, and it's a cool place to be. I don't really leave my neighborhood that much, so I only experience the traffic that I hear about every now and then, but I know it's definitely a thing.
Right.
Man, there's pros and cons. I don't really care. I mean, like, it's in motion. You can't stop it.
What's
That's
the
true.
biggest difference that you noticed, though, as far as, like, back in, when you're a teenager till now? What's the difference, man, as far as the feel?
That there's an audience for rock music.
Oh, I love
that's
that.
cool. It was just country back then?
Yeah, I mean, look, there was rock here, but it was so small. I mean, like, it's kind of fragmented now, which is a good and bad thing. But the good part of it is like every venue is pretty full, when something rock and roll related is going down. I mean, anymore, like Nashville is like whatever music you want.
Right.
Right.
I mean, you can find anything tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, and we film on Fridays. So, I mean, but that could be Monday or Tuesday. It doesn't matter, So you've been playing with Ace Frehley for
6 years now?
6 years. And before that, you're playing with Gene Simmons?
For about a year and a half. And then there was like just a couple months where we were playing with both of them. We had Ace shows and Gene shows. And
That's
then there was a tour of Australia where we had both at the same time,
That's kind of neat. And then, you obviously, you're one of the founding members of the Rock and Roll Residency, which is how I got to know who you were. And that's how I met you through Dan, when you guys were all playing at, was it Dan McGinnis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was just lightning in a bottle.
Oh, my God.
That was cool.
Just 1 month, Phil and I didn't have anything going on. We had a few tribute bands, and I was just like, hey, man, let's try a weekly thing for a month. We can just pick from all these tribute bands that we do, and it went really well. And they asked us to stay, and we stayed there until they kicked us out, and then we stayed at Mercy Lounge for a few more years.
I love that. That was so cool. That was such a fun time, and
it was a really cool community building thing.
At that point, nobody had really seized it. Like, there wasn't really a rock and roll thing where the rockers went to hang out. And, some people played with us and some people just hung out. But I think it being on that patio at Dan McGinnis, where there was no separation between the people and, like, whoever would show up, is really what created the main foundation of the thing. Because when we went to Mercy Lounge, there was a backstage, and everybody just kind of wound up hanging backstage. And then there was that audience-artist separation.
And it felt different.
Yeah.
It did. And I think anybody who was there at the Dan McGinnis Harp and Fiddle days, those are the days that everybody romanticizes.
Yeah.
Because it was so cool.
It
was so cool.
It was definitely
that was
like a
even
party.
my personal favorite time. I mean, like, after we'd been there for a year and, like, our band was really locked in and we were really fucking good. Mm-hmm. And then we caught on and people would start showing up, fucking Robin Zander just showing up. Hey,
dude, I remember that night, man. Man, what a legend too, man. That guy is amazing.
No, I have a few videos, I have a few clips.
And I got a few questions, man. Just before we move on, whatever. Could like in the early days, the Dan McGinnis days, man, could you rattle off the people, the members? Because I'm gonna fly some photos of the early names on drums, on bass, and like I know it kind of morphed a little bit and a couple members left.
So like the first month, we had 2 lineups. So the first 2 weeks was Phil, myself, Chuck Garrick. Like Chuck, when Phil and I agreed to do this, it's like, well, who's going to be in the band? And, Chuck had just moved to town and we'd become good friends. So he was like, well, man, let's get Chuck. It'll be fun. And David Parks played drums because I was playing.
That's right. David was on
at the
there.
time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then we brought in Jared about 2 weeks after that. I can't remember why, honestly.
Yeah, like
I remember
what the
David Parks was there for a minute. You know, he wasn't there that long, but
and then Jared came in, and then we were only supposed to play 2 more weeks, and then it went really well, so they asked us to stay. And Chuck was leaving for the Motley Alice tour.
Oh, okay.
And then Phil brought in Judd Fuller because they played in the Rodney Atkins band together, and they were going to have the same schedule. So that was going to make that
convenient,
a little easier.
Yeah, very cool, man. It's cool, like understanding the relationships, because rock and roll, man, and just any music community, it is a small community. Everybody seems to know each other.
Yeah, and it wasn't just like, because at that point, we had a lot of friends that were in bands that toured and stuff, that were in bigger bands, and it made it fun for them being new to town, and it made it fun for the people, because it's exciting when God, I don't know, insert rock and roller here. Right.
Yeah.
I get to see them jam in this small place, and then, they get to come,
and it was small. That was a small place.
Small. I mean,
I don't know how many people it held, but it was super intimate.
I'd say, like, on a slow night, we'd have about 30 people there, and on an awesome night, maybe 200 or so. I'm really bad at the numbers game, but man, there were a couple shows where it's just like, God, this place is packed.
Packed, absolutely. It was cool.
And, Chuck had kind of planned on, the Alice Cooper band had a night off after their show at Motley Crue here, and Chuck had already kind of planned on them doing a thing that night, because they all had a day off the next day. So we had to put on a show, which was not on a Tuesday that week, for them to be able to come out and play in the middle of our set. And
that's awesome.
That was in USA. that like really kind of set the thing off, like, outside of Nashville.
And it was such a cool thing that everybody knew about. I remember I had friends that I would be working with that, like, weren't even, like, I didn't even know were in that scene, and I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna go out to this thing tonight called the Rock and Roll Residency. They're like, oh, I'm gonna go there too. So, like, we'd all meet up, and it was
funny thing about it for me now is I talk to so many people who tell me that they came to all those shows and they caught those shows, and
you're like, you don't remember them.
I don't, or just like, because if there were that many people there, every show would have been like 100 or 200 people, and I mean, not every show was like that. The average show was probably like 50 to 75 people. I remember quite a few nights where it was just like, the regulars were there, the faithful, but
people coming and going.
And we did a lot of shows, and
yeah, definitely cool.
I'm not gonna lie, like when you're playing an Irish pub every Tuesday, there's a lot of Irish whiskey and a lot of beers.
Right, of course there is.
This is it.
Don't mind me at this moment in time. Not sponsored. Should be, but not sponsored. I'm just going to pour a little bit of this tequila. It's a jalapeno cucumber tequila. I'm going to take a little sip. Does anybody want a sip?
Yeah, I will have just a tiny little taste.
A little taster?
Yeah, I'm going to bring my little phone.
I don't drink a lot of liquor these days, so like
you're smart.
I'll get affected easily, and
I understand that.
And then my speech will become weird, and then when I watch this back, I'm gonna be like, man.
Dude, we'll overdub it, man. We'll just sit through it. And
can we bring you in to overdub your own stuff if that happens?
Absolutely.
That would
or, dude, I can do your voice. I'm a good impression.
I mean, I can wear the same thing, and we can just film it, and he can put you up on that screen over there, and I'll just
try to line up the audio.
This is why I say that, like, doing this in person is so much more fun, but two, like, I don't even know how I would get to the point of like the whole cocktail set part of the show. I'd have to send you all the ingredients, and then I'd be like, okay, I'm going to show you how to do this over Zoom, which I've done with somebody before, not for this show, but for something totally different.
Well, I don't really drink them at home anymore, but
understandable.
I can make a pretty damn good margarita.
I bet you could.
Yeah.
This is going to be a fun one too. Well, cheers to this. Thank you for coming on the show, babe.
What?
I already gave you one.
Where is it?
It's right there.
Right in front of your face.
All right, well.
It's in the open your eyes section.
Cheers, you guys. I'll do it. Fake.
All right. What was some of your first influences, and why guitar?
Kiss.
Okay, it's going to be Kiss. Okay, I thought so, but I wanted to double check.
So in
appropriately.
1978, when I was about 3.5 years old, there was a kid that lived behind us. And I have an older brother who's 6 years older than me. And that kid was like my brother's age. So, in 1978, my brother is 9. This kid's 10. So that is like prime Kiss age in 1978. Right. And his name was David Yelton, which Chart has known since high school. I found out I don't know, maybe a year or two ago, and that really blew my mind. And I got to talk to this dude.
Oh, that's cool.
Because of Chark. So he comes out, and he's got a Live 2 without the gatefold, like side 1 and 2 and side 3 and 4. And he's like, hey, man, I'll sell you these for 50 cents. So I ran in, told Mom, hey, he's going to sell me a Kiss record for 50 cents. She's like, well, you can get one. And she gave me 50 cents. And then my brother said, get that one. It has Shout It Out Loud. I'm like, all right. We took it in. Threw it on Shout It Out Loud, and I mean, it sounds like there's 40 tracks of the crowd just screaming at the top of their lungs.
I love it.
And then, the band kicks in, and there's just all this energy, and then the bombs go off, and after those bombs went off, and then Paul started singing, it's just I don't really know what this is. Because I didn't know what a concert was, and I didn't have the gatefold to look at. It was just the music and the energy coming off of that. I'm like, I've got to be a part of this or do. I don't know what this is, but I have to be this or be in it. And that started my music and Kiss obsession.
That's awesome.
It's magic, man, right?
So cool.
Yeah. And why guitar? My brother played drums, so I guess naturally I was going to gravitate towards something else.
Did you all play together?
Just in the bedroom.
Okay.
He didn't have any designs whatsoever to be in a band or try to do it. And I mean, he's 16 playing Tom Sawyer perfectly in his bedroom.
And he's just not even caring about it.
Did not care. Went to college at 18, left his drums at home, and
that was it.
And that's probably the greatest thing that could have happened to our relationship. Made me one brother band that isn't a fucking nightmare.
Oh my God. So I guess at that point you could have learned drums if you really wanted to.
But it was crucial to me as a player because I grew up playing with somebody with good timing. And since there were drums in the house, I played drums too. I was every bit as good at drums as I was guitar up until a certain point when I didn't really play drums anymore. But, having a very good sense of rhythm gave me a good sense of rhythm on guitar, which is, pretty crucial to being a good guitar player in a band.
What was your first concert then? Was it Kiss?
Kiss.
Of course it was.
This was my first everything, my first record, my first love, my first concert. I mean, yeah, it was all about them. So
now, fast forwarding to now you actually playing with the members of Kiss, that's just unbelievable. I
should have played Powerball instead. The odds are way better.
No, what's really strange to me is you had to geek out, man, for a while, just knowing these are your heroes, right?
So before my first Gene gig, I did have a really emotional night, I don't want to say disbelief, but just shock that this was about to happen to me.
Sure.
I mean, it was the biggest thing that
Can't
ever
believe
happened
it,
to me.
man. Yeah, man. But I think about those times, man. I know it's like to play with one of my heroes, like Jerry Gaskell, the guys in King's X. I grew up listening to loving those guys, but Kiss is just one of those things from your childhood with the nostalgia attached and what you're influenced on, and now you're playing with these guys, man. It had to be.
They're not a band; they're icons.
Yeah, it's way bigger than music.
Yeah.
It's like culture shit. No,
absolutely.
I'm honored. I mean, before I was in this situation, I was just your basic nutty fan. I kind of still am. I mean.
But what did it wear off a little bit? These guys
sure.
now.
Right. But I'm sure you still look over at them from time to time, and you're like.
But that kind of sucks, doesn't it? The magic is kind of gone in a way. It's oh
no,
man.
Me and Ryan and Phil we sold pretty much all of our Kiss stuff. We kept some of the cool 70s stuff, but I mean when you're in a situation like that, you just wind up with all of this stuff. And it was all easy to get rid of because at this point now, my memories and my experiences completely supersede any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point. You have so much more. It's not even about the tangible things that are connecting you. You have actual, like, real connections, like
part of their story.
Story. That's so cool. Okay.
Cool.
And I still do get, like, I get that nostalgic vibe when I see, like, My Kiss. And My Kiss is like 1974 to 1978.
Sure.
Maybe even 79 a little bit. But, like, I can watch and hear some of that stuff and still be 6 years old.
So obviously, like, you've been playing music and been in bands for several years before you ended up playing with Gene and Ace. So, like, let's talk about how that happened. I know you guys were doing, if I have this correctly, you guys were doing because we had Ryan on the show too.
Yeah.
So he's talking about that with us. So you guys were doing a Kiss cruise.
Yeah.
And it was like a cover band, right?
Yeah, just 80s metal jukebox.
Love that.
Motley Crue, Rat, Van Halen, Whitesnake, just songs you know.
Yeah, songs you know. And then, so what, these guys just saw you?
I guess. I mean, like, we did the first 5 in a row, and I mean, the stage is right in front of the cabins where they were, so yeah,
That's
I know they
awesome.
heard it, and, we saw them. So yeah, I mean, they knew who we were.
Sure.
And I mean, Gene was the one that asked Ryan to put together the band, so...
I love that. That must have been so cool.
I mean, he knew that this guy was musically capable and could probably do a good job of putting something good together.
It's just one of those things. So I guess he was kind of thinking about it, and he came across you guys, or he saw you guys, and then he was like, I could do this.
He was scheduled to do these things called Wizard World that year, which are basically like Comic-Con, and his Vault was coming out. So he had like these 2 things to promote, and the Wizard World people said, well, hey, you think maybe you could tie in a show with these things? And at that point, there were only 6. And, like, Ryan had a good reputation with Doc. Doc didn't really have anything to do with putting that together, but, I'd say Ryan's good reputation and the fact that he'd heard us and, that guy can sing
all of
good.
that went
Those
together.
guys can play, so...
So that just worked out with you guys. And how long did you end up playing with Gene then? You said like a year, 2 years?
About a year and a half.
Okay. That's awesome. And then how did that lead into you playing with Ace?
So we did a tour of Australia where Ace opened for Gene.
That's cool.
Ace wasn't going to be able to afford to take his band over there, so he asked Gene if he could use us. And, Gene was like, I don't care. If Ryan doesn't care, I don't care. And that was just kind of how that happened.
That's so cool.
And since we were over there already, Japan booked Ace for a week, so he just took us because like it just wasn't going to make any sense economically to like then fly us home and then fly his band over to Japan.
Sure.
And it was on that thing that he asked us to do the upcoming Kiss cruise that he was doing a couple months later with him, and that just kind of led to us being his band too. That's kind of really awesome that Gene was so like open to that. I mean, he knew he was going back to Kiss, and he wanted us to stay employed and busy and working. And
I love that. Well, he seems like a really cool dude.
He is. He's great.
What's the differences between playing with each of those guys?
Well, the only similarity is that they were both in Kiss.
Okay, so they're totally different. You got to put on a different game face, huh?
Ace is a creature of comfort. He picks a set list. We generally stay with that set list. And with Gene, we did not have the same set list ever. Not one show. Every show was different. We did like 65 or so different songs over the course of a year and a half.
Wow. Okay. So it's more freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
I mean, I had to have these gigantic lyric sheets. I mean, seriously, I would tape like 6 to 8 pieces of paper together and make these lyric sheets that were this big.
Oh my gosh.
For songs he didn't really know the lyrics to, but
that's
man, if that means we're going to get to do Ladies' Room, then you got it, dude.
Oh my God.
That's awesome, man. I was always curious, man, because I know everybody's got different personalities. I was just wondering if there's a huge thing, difference between those guys. And I'm sure there is.
At this point, with like people. The amount of time that I've spent with some of them and the amount of time that I've spent with others, the only thing any of these guys had in common is that they were all in Kiss.
That
stops there.
That's
no
so
kidding.
funny. No,
Wow.
that's cool though. That's cool though that they still like get along with each other and still can do a tour together.
Yeah, they know what's important, and as different as they are, some of them have figured out how to work together and work well together.
You guys used to be in the same band at different times though. You and Dan used to both play for John.
That's
CORABI.
right, man.
Yes.
And I think I met you, man, a long time ago. Actually, you know what? I think I met Ryan.
I met you before I was in his band. Like I knew you.
So when were you playing with John?
I played with John in 2014 and 15, and then like off and on after that, he joined the Dead Daisies, and I think we've done like 2 shows since then. Or something.
Do you guys did I hear correctly? Weren't you guys touring with the Dead Daisies recently?
We did one show. We did the Nashville show.
The Nashville show. Okay. All right. That makes sense. That was actually on the same night the King's X was playing.
I know it was.
Yeah.
It sucked. I mean, we wanted to go to that show, man. It just
We want to go to all the shows. We did end up going to the King's X show, which was amazing.
That was a bummer for a lot of people.
I
know
know
a lot of people that would have liked to go to the Daisies, but
Yep.
and I'm sure there was a lot of people at their show that would have liked to have gone to King's X, but got to pick one that night.
I know, and I was like, man, couldn't it be on the same bill?
I understand why he would go see King's X. I mean, that just makes way more sense.
Well, and that was my first time seeing King's X. I've never seen them play before, so that was like super cool for me. And actually, I just ran to John in the airport not too long ago, right before he was going to London, maybe like a month ago at this point. I don't know.
Him and Ian.
Man, the last time I saw John actually was when we played that show with him. But even before that, Rock City Machine Company did a video for Ramblin' Gamblin' Man, and he was in our video.
Let's talk about Rock City Machine Company.
So,
how did it all start?
Phil and Ryan and I at that point, we'd done cover bands together. We'd been in Gene's band. We'd been in Ace's band, and it just seemed like original music was the only stone that was unturned. And lots of people always asked us, and we didn't have any plans on doing that. But then, I don't know, I just had like this realization one day of like, man, maybe our journey is not complete together until we do this one thing.
Sure.
And Ryan was managing Marty Fredrickson's studio at the time, and Marty had always kind of thrown it out there, hey, if you guys want to do something, like, I'll work with you. And then our friend Craig had a label. He's like, hey, man, if you guys ever want to do anything, I'll put it out. So,
Dude,
That's awesome.
it just made sense to me, and I ran it by Ryan. We ran it by Phil. It's like, all right, let's do it.
And that it came out, what, 2 years ago or a year and a half ago?
It came out in August of last year. So before that, we were the Talisman.
Yes.
And the Talisman was only like these 3 guys that were Gene and Ace's band and did Kiss Expos and whatnot. And, we called ourselves the Talisman because we needed a name. We couldn't call ourselves the Ace Frehley band or the Gene Simmons band. So that was like kind of a funny little reference to Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. But then when it came time to do something professionally, we couldn't use that name because it's taken. So, we were throwing names out there, and, as the resident Nashvilleian, there was a building on 3rd Avenue downtown before downtown changed, and, it had Rock City Machine Company at the top of the building, and I always thought, like, man,
that's
what
cool.
a great band name. So they liked it, and we used it, and, they're still a business. They just moved over to Thompson Lane, and it's like a water treatment supply company. And I figure, like, as long as we don't get into water treatment supply and they don't get into rock and roll, then, we're only helping each other.
Right. Exactly. That's it. That works perfectly. I love the logic of this. And I listened to that album.
Very cool, man.
When it came out. Well, when we were going over Ryan's episode, and the songs are fucking awesome.
I'm very proud of that record. I think every song is a banger. There's no filler. Every song could be a single.
And everything sounds great too, with Marty at the helm and whatever. But like going back to how you described how it all kind of came together was funny, because it's like, we got this amazing producer, man, saying you can kind of come on in. Hey, we got a record label over here. If you want to just do something, we'll release it for you. It's
everything's like kind of lined up, and I sort of feel like the universe was saying, you guys need to do this.
So it's like the answer's there.
So here you go. Here's like all the stuff for you there.
That's awesome, man.
Oh my God. Well, I love that so much. I think actually we're going to kind of switch it up. And right now, I think what I should do is get some tools together, because at this point, I'm going to teach you how to make a cocktail.
All right.
I think that would be a lot of fun. And then we can chat and talk about, I want to dive into some like behind the scenes stuff with you while we're making this. But then when we come back, we can talk a little bit more about your journey and how you kind of, made it along the way and why you stayed in Nashville, which, by the way, was a really good choice. Staying in Nashville was a really good choice.
Perfect choice.
Yeah, I would love to elaborate on that.
Perfect. All right, I'm going to get some gear together and we'll be right back.
Hey, this is Ace Vaughn Johnson from LA Guns, and you are listening to or watching Nashville on the Rocks.
All right, welcome back, everybody. So, Jeremy, I'm going to teach you how to make this cocktail. This is going to be kind of fun, and we're going to do a little switcheroo. So I'm going to make 2 cocktails, you're going to make 1, and I'm going to take yours, and you're going to take mine. So you're essentially going to be making a cocktail for me. It's going to be great. He's laughing already.
That sucks for you.
It's going to be so good.
It's awesome for me.
Yeah, it's going to be so good. So we're using this same tequila that we sampled earlier. This is the 21 Seeds cucumber jalapeno infused tequila. We're going to use that. I have this Fever Tree Mediterranean, Indian tonic water. This is also my favorite. I think this is going to go really nicely. And then I have a little bit of lime juice. I don't know if we're going to need it, but just in case we want to add it to it afterwards. And then I made a simple syrup. This is a mixed berry simple syrup. So this was incredibly easy to make. And if you do the cooking, which I think you said you did, I can tell you how to make this.
All right,
and it's
noted.
Probably the easiest thing ever. And then we're just going to build and shake. So now you said you've made some margaritas, so you've probably shaken a few in your day.
Yes.
How do you have these at home, or how do you shake your margarita? Or do you just put it in a glass and mix it all together?
I don't know if we don't make margaritas at home anymore, so I don't know if I have any of that stuff. But yeah, I had.
That you had it.
I had a thing.
I had a friend who used a mason jar and a lid, and I was like, "You work at a bar. You need something better." And he's like, "Oh no, this is great." And I was like, "Well, I guess you could just take the lid off and drink it." So I would like to know what people
have
use.
you had the rose pepper margarita?
Yeah.
It was the rose pepper margarita.
Okay, all right.
I got the recipe, and this was like COVID year.
Yes.
That was the year of the margarita.
That's awesome. The year of the margarita. Yeah, it was for a lot of people. I'll tell you on that. Okay, so let's do it like this. We're going to use this big tin first, and we're going to put all the ingredients in here. Now, this is a jigger. It's a measuring tool. On this side, the bigger side is 2 ounces. This side is 1 ounce, and then you have different measurements to go from there. So I'll tell you what to put in here.
Okay.
Let's do the ice first. That's probably the easiest. Okay, so if y'all are watching us at home, this is going to be really simple, but if you are listening to us, you're going to take a tin or some sort of mixing device, and you're going to put some ice into it. Here, and I'll take yours. And I just wash my hands. I say this every time, but
the booze will wash it off, and it'll sterilize it, right?
Yeah, there you go. As long as you don't care, I don't care.
It's a good wet, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, so that being said, what we're going to do is, let's start. Put some ice in the glass. Do some fresh ice. Now, we can make this as complicated or as easy as we want it to. I think this is going to be pretty easy because I'm not trying to give anybody
I'm going to guess that Dan never makes the drinks here anymore.
Dan never makes the drinks.
What gives you that idea, man?
Why would you?
Dan's always like, are you going to make a cocktail, a fun cocktail? I'm like, I can make a fun cocktail.
It is pretty fun living here.
I'm going to twist the top off of this Miller Lite.
Pour it into this plastic glass, and here you go.
The red glass?
The red Solo cup. Okay, so we're going to take this tequila, and we're going to put in 1.5 ounces, which means I'm going to put 2.5 ounces of 3 ounces of tequila in. You're going to put 1.5 ounces. So
I gotta find the. So you said this was 1 ounce.
That's 1 ounce. So actually, what you can do is
this, and then half of this.
Yes.
Okay.
If that is the easiest way for you, which it probably is.
Probably so.
Let's do that. Okay. Cool. This is gonna be so exciting. You fill it all the way to the top. If it spills, it's okay. It's just tequila. There we go. And then halfway.
Good form.
Good form. Good form. Okay. And then we're going to take some of this Berry Simple, and I'm going to go a little heavy on this. I'm going to do, for this cocktail, we're going to do 3/4 of an ounce. So that's going to be 1.5 ounces for me and 3/4 for you. So I'm going to use the large portion, go right up to there and pour it in. And then you are going to go up to that second to top line. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Perfect. Perfect. And you're just going to pour it in. Okay. I said we probably wouldn't use lime juice, but I'm having second thoughts, so I'm just going to do a couple dashes. Just a couple dashes, or you can squeeze your lime
This
juice.
is the refreshing part
Yes.
that I mentioned when we
Yes. This is the
spoke
refreshing
about drinks
part.
earlier.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so we're done for the mixing portion of it. So what we're going to do now is take the small tin, put it on top of the big tin. So it's like a little tight on there. Okay, and this is my favorite part. We're going to shake the cocktail. Okay, ready?
Go.
And go. We'll do this for like 15 seconds with nice and cold. God, you know, I haven't tried this cocktail yet, so I hope it's good. I'm just gonna say, I'm living on the edge, you know what I mean? All right, I think we're good. All right, nice frothy tin. Oh, you got that quite nice. Oh, that was easy too. That doesn't normally happen that
Hey, that
easily
worked
for
out
me.
well.
Worked out good. All right, take the strainer or whatever you got working at home, put it on top of your mixing glass, and you're gonna pour. Here, you can take this, you take the nice glass. Wait, this is gonna be mine. I'm giving you guys the nice glasses, and you just pour it right in there. So we had Scott McGee on the show. I don't know if you saw that one.
I didn't. Ryan told
Okay.
me about that today, and I was just like, oh, that was interesting.
Oh my God, he was so funny. He was shaking the cocktail, and it was a
Funny dude.
3-ounce like martini, and he was like, "This is all you get after all of that." Like in the glass, he's like, "All right, guys, here you go. That'll be $18." He was doing such a good job. Okay, so now it's in there. Pop the top off of this Indian tonic water, and then we're just gonna. Ooh, this is also the refreshing part. There
So
you
most
go.
people don't know that there is sugar in tonic water. Holy shit, I can't read this.
Yes, and this is. I'm so glad
Can
we're
you
bringing
see
this up
very
right
good?
now. Kind of.
How many carbohydrates are in that?
This is really small. 17
17. That's for the bottles.
for the bottle,
So
and this bottle is 200 milliliters. So it's.
So this is where I just
6.8
kind of
ounces.
guess. If this whole thing's 17, and I use, let me get a good look at this. I'm gonna say that I'm just gonna
Like
make
a
that
fourth
like
of the bottle.
4 or something. So I have type 1 diabetes,
Mm-hmm.
and I wear all these fancy gizmos on my body that help me tell what my blood sugar is, and I have an insulin pump attached to my body, and I have an app on my phone right
Damn.
here that I just tell it what my blood sugar is. So there's really not much work involved.
Do you type it in ahead of time?
Before I consume carbohydrates, yes.
Yes.
But something like this, you just have to guess.
Sure.
And then I hit confirm, and then it just delivers my insulin.
Oh my God! And that was that beep.
Yeah.
That's what that is, huh?
So last night
Science.
was my wedding anniversary, and my wife and I went out, and she doesn't drink at all. So we went to a couple mocktail bars and had a few mocktails.
Happy anniversary to
Thank
you
you.
both, man.
Happy anniversary.
Very cool.
This is your cocktail.
This is mine?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You're going to
take
drink
yours.
mine.
And then I'm
So
going to give
do we
this to
squeeze
Dan.
the lime in here, or do we just...
You can. It's a garnish, so you can. If you feel it wants
You know
more
what?
lime.
I'm going to taste it, and then I'll decide.
Yeah, let's taste it and we'll go from there. Oh my God!
All
I'm
right,
so
cheers.
excited. Cheers, guys. You've had your share of
I got
cruises.
cruised out for a little while, but we did the Monsters Cruise earlier this year with Ace, and I realized I kind of missed it.
Well, that's okay. That was gonna be my questions. Like, you must have had some like kind of wild moments. Like, is there just like a time that sticks out when you were playing with Ace, and Ryan and Phil that just like I don't know. You guys all seem like very down to earth people from knowing you.
Yeah.
But like when you're doing like these gigs or these tours, like does anything out of pocket just happen, from the crowd or anything like that you don't expect? Or do you feel like that your fans are all like pretty cool and
No,
respectful?
they're all pretty cool. I mean, generally, I mean, we're around a lot of Kiss fans since we're playing with Kiss people when we're all together. So, you know, we can all kind of relate on that level because, you know, we were just Kiss fans too that
Sure.
wound up in a cool situation. I think that's what a lot of the fans liked about us too as a group is they could tell how happy we were to be there and they could see themselves and us.
Yeah.
We are them. I mean, if I wasn't on that stage, I'd be out in the crowd. I would have gone to see the Gene Simmons band. You know, I went to see Ace when he came here, which is weird because, like, you know, Scott the drummer back then is our drummer now, and, you know, some of the same crew guys. And like, oh, yeah, man, I was just a fucking kid out in the audience last time y'all came here.
That's so awesome.
When I say a kid, I was like fucking 33 or 34.
That's still being a kid, you know what I mean? Like, it's totally 100%. I don't even want to talk about that.
Yeah, rock and roll just kind of keeps you young, though, doesn't it, man? You live in this lifestyle, man. It's just...
I can't explain it.
You
I
know.
mean, you know, for the biggest part of my life, you know, I drank about a bottle of wine every night. Up until a couple years ago, I smoked weed all day, every day.
I did not see that with you. Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, after 30 years, I just kind of decided my lungs needed a break.
Yeah,
my
I get
kids
that.
were getting older, and it was getting harder to hide it, so it's just like,
Yeah, right. You're like, I'll take a break from it.
Just an inconvenience now.
And yeah,
And you're still
somehow
rocking.
I still have all my hair.
Yeah,
It's not gray.
yeah, you're
Man,
still
you got
rocking.
I've got a
man.
few wrinkles, but I don't know. Like I'm definitely ahead of the curve, and you know, between you know the style of fun you tend to have touring with a rock band and sleepless nights and stupid early flights and all of that. You'd think it'd age you a lot faster, but I don't know. For the most part, man, most of the
It's because you keep moving, I think, man.
the
when
rock
you're-
and rollers that I know,
Yeah, you love
are
it.
all doing pretty well.
Yep, and that makes
Even
that
Ace
makes a
for that
difference.
matter. Ace is 73, and like, you know, my mom is like, I don't know, 4 years older than Ace, and I've tried to imagine her doing that.
What he's
and
doing?
I'm just like, pfft,
It's not even in the
No
cards.
way.
Nope. She's not doing. It's so funny. There was a meme that I saw, and we can cut this out and go back to him if we want, or we can keep it in. It doesn't matter. But it was like when you turn 40, all of your friends from high school either look 30 or 60, depending.
I saw that, and
Yeah, it's so
It's true, man.
It's true. It's like one direction or the other, you know. What have you got coming up in the next few months?
okay, so there's only about 3 Ace shows left this year. Not much. The first weekend of December, I'm doing an event called Kiss Cancer Goodbye.
Oh.
It's a lot of Kiss-related people and Kiss members at the thing. I'm pretty busy at that one. I'm doing side 1 and 2 of a live 2 with Ryan and Scott Coogan, who we are the Ace Frehley band,
Sure.
and Zach Throne is playing bass, and he was a member of the Ace Frehley band after Phil left. So 2003. And then Todd Kearns and Joey Casada and Zach Throne and Tyson Leslie were doing The Elder from start to finish, which, man, I don't know if anybody's done that. Certainly nobody as cool as us.
Oh, that's
No
awesome.
shit. That's cool, man.
And I'm doing a set of Unmasked and Dynasty songs with Ryan and PJ Farley from Trickster and Anton Fig, who played drums on all of that stuff and was a member of the David Letterman band.
Oh, no
cool.
slouch there.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty cool. I mean, he was the drummer on that stuff, so, you know, that'll be the first time any of that stuff's ever been done. And a few songs from the Ace Frehley 78 solo album with Anton on drums also, and Ryan's playing on that as well. So I got a lot going on that weekend, but it's a lot of fun.
That's
I mean,
great.
Like, showing up and playing Kiss songs for me, there's not an easier thing for me to do.
Oh, I love that. That's got to be such
It's
a cool
just
thing.
the easiest gig in the world for me.
Yeah.
Like you already know it, man,
Yeah,
too. It's
I
in
mean,
your
there's
blood.
not really. I mean, The Elder, there's a little work that has to be put in with that because there aren't really any live versions to go off of or anything.
Is there anything coming up new for Rock City Machine Company? Oh,
what do you got?
I don't know. It's like it's up in the air. Like you guys have your album.
The hardest part with that is like aligning 3 tour schedules. Well, actually 2, because me and Ryan are pretty much on the same schedule. To make that happen, and it's got to be like a cool opening gig. I mean, we only have a 30-minute record, unless we want to like supplement the show with covers and stuff. But
sure.
Man, the plan for that was not to be a local band that plays Nashville all the time. It was like it was a project, and I mean there were sort of plans to tour, but if you don't have money to tour, then you ain't gonna tour.
Right, you're gonna go towards the thing that's
it's expensive. So like I don't know how to do that at this stage in our life. Because we're a little bit older. That's like a young man's game.
Right.
4 or 5 dudes packing in a van, sleeping in a van, all dudes in one hotel room because that's all you can afford. And
right.
So without like the proper opportunity,
you mean the glamorous side of rock and roll?
I just don't know how to make that happen. But we're up to discuss anything. I mean,
sure.
we certainly love playing the songs, and we obviously enjoy being with each other.
It would be so cool if you guys did something in Nashville and got a few other bands lined up, whether it was maybe hooking up with Tyson or, maybe even Tom Hurst or something like that in the minute. Maybe we all talk,
Yeah.
Maybe
I'm sure something's going to pop up, man, in your way,
sure.
or a record label, or like maybe Dave Grohl will call, be like, hey, man, I don't know if you got a 30-minute record you want to play and open up a show with us, for the this leg. We'll give you a boatload of money, and, something might happen, man.
Well, I'll take that call.
Usually one of the things I want to know from people is, why did you move to Nashville? Because everybody has the same thing. I just I'm curious about their journey. But you stayed here.
Yeah,
you were going to move to LA.
Why didn't I leave Nashville?
Why didn't you leave?
I met some of the right people early on. There was a band that I hung out with when I was 16. So, when I was 16, it was like 91. So this is like, no matter how people like to revision history, glam style music was still happening in 1991. I know everybody likes to say, and then Nirvana came out and the whole fucking thing was over. And I'm sorry, it just did not happen like that. Side note, let's have this discussion because we're all like sort of similar in age range.
Right.
Especially you, Dan.
Right.
So like, did it happen like that? Or let's go back to like 1991, summer of 91. Metallica Black Album comes out. Jane's Addiction, Ritual de lo Habitual comes out.
Right.
Red Hot Chili Peppers comes out not too long after that.
Right.
Alice in Chains were already popping because I went to see them open for Van Halen that summer. And
I remember that.
Nirvana was just starting to get airplay on MTV. So like the whole thing was starting to shift into this more alterna type music. But there for a while in 91, it all coexisted.
Yeah, man.
Everybody's like, and then Nirvana came out and then killed every Sunset Strip band there is. And I'm just like, man, it didn't happen like that.
Like,
it was still happening at the same time.
Yeah, and it wasn't Nirvana first. All those bands that I just mentioned
Jane's
had
Addiction.
records that came out first.
Right.
And Soundgarden, Bad Motorfinger,
Right.
I saw them open for Skid Row on that tour.
Yeah,
so
and like in Alice in Chains, like you said, they were, what are they? You said the Van Halen bill?
Yeah.
I remember that, man. You know what it was? There was a moment, there was a moment where, and I think it was a regional thing too, because up in New York, man, like New York City, like some of these bigger cities, it did hit up there like it just stopped everything and just went. Like everybody abandoned.
I mean, by 1992, it was actually, but there for a minute in 1991, it all kind of coexisted.
Yeah, definitely.
So there was a band in town called Easy to Please, and they were like up my alley. I mean, they were doing that kind of thing.
Like
and then like even with them, we were all kind of growing towards a thing that wasn't so, silly and lipstick and, did have a little more of this alternate thing to it.
Right.
So then I did my high school term paper on the Beatles. Well, first, like that, Enough's Enough were the ones that because I was really into like the glam look, and when they came out, like, I don't know, man, it just something really clicked for me. And when I saw them, they opened their show with Magical Mystery Tour, and I was working at a grocery store, and I worked the next day, and they had, they played music over the speakers. It was called the Kroger Radio Network, and they played Magical Mystery Tour, and I'm like, oh, it's that song. So the mall was next door to the grocery store, and I went and bought Magical Mystery Tour, and then I did my high school term paper on the Beatles. And man, just like after really reading and learning about creativity like that, it was pretty impossible to go back to listening to like hair metal.
Yeah.
And I met other people, and like those guys, we all kind of like grew into that together. And then I became friends with a guy named Hans Rottenberry, and he had put together this band called the SHAZAM, and they were like a British 60s thing, and that was just right up my fucking alley. And I became like band best friend, roadie, head cheerleader, and then by the time they got to their second record, it was impossible for 3 people to replicate that music, and I already knew every song. I could sing good harmonies, so it was just sort of like
that's awesome.
Added me on, and I mean, we did a lot of great stuff. We got to go to England a whole bunch. We got to do a TV radio broadcast from Abbey Road, and we're like billed above fucking Duran Duran and stuff.
Wow, man, that's cool.
We got to play Earl's Court, and Lightning 100 here in Nashville started playing the band a lot, so our local shows started kicking ass too. Like we couldn't get arrested and couldn't get an agent, couldn't get a label, couldn't really tour. But then
when was this, Jeremy?
2000.
Okay.
But then, like, the next year, the White Stripes and the Strokes came into England, and they forgot all about the SHAZAM.
Oh,
but then Little Steven started playing us on his show, and that, like, upped the profile here. And then we had a friend that had a tour bus, and, he worked with bands like Local H. And are y'all familiar with Wesley Willis?
Mm-mm.
Do you know who Wesley Willis is?
I don't know.
Okay, I can't get into who that is. Your audience can go look that up. But all right, I don't know. This friend helped the band get out of Nashville and start touring, and then we did become like a touring band, and I mean that occupied a good fucking 13 to 15 years of my life.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
So meeting them was probably the thing that kind of kept
you in Nashville.
Kept me here. And then by that time, by the end of that is when, Nashville started growing. And like Phil and I had been, only friends for like 10 years at that point. Like we just hung out. We didn't play together.
So what year did you say that ended, kind of, that touring and the SHAZAMs, or, Well,
we stopped touring so much around 2004, but we were still like making records. It was
okay.
It was one of those deals. You know how like when something's falling apart, it takes a lot longer to take steps. I mean, even like after 2004, we made this record with a producer named Mac, and I mean, Mac produced everything Queen did from The Game on. He engineered and mixed all those ELO records that you know and love.
Oh yeah,
Billy Squires' first 2 records.
Oh God, I love those.
I mean, like. His
Don't
resume,
Say No record?
Yes, Sweet Action and T-Rex, 20th Century Boy. I mean, he worked a German studio called Musicland, and I mean, they just so much music that made me want to make music. So we got to make a record with him, and by the time that came out, that was like right in between MySpace and Facebook, and everybody's downloading and not buying physical product anymore. And I mean, it's just
change, the creativity.
Man. Yeah. Just and then it wasn't like the band broke up. We just stopped doing so much, and at a certain point, I had so many things going on, and they kind of just went back to being their 3-piece band again. And
wow,
I have played with them since then, because that was like 2014, I think. No, 2012.
And you all still keep in contact with each other. That's great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I've played with them since then, and there's a box set in the works for the second record, and, I still talk to Hans all the time.
It's been weird, It's nice to see that people still come out to shows, and that's important. I just wish that the music part of the value and the excitement that you guys felt about new music being released, that I felt about it, was existing the way it used to.
It was really cool.
Fun times.
I don't know how that happens again.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure that out. It's like, man, damn. It's like the vinyl thing is kind of cool. I mean, that's cool, but shit.
It's still a little niche. I mean, nobody's like blowing millions of records out the door anymore.
Right. That's true.
It's got to offer something else with the music somehow. I don't know what it is. Everybody's got to make small movies.
I just think younger people have a different life than we did. I mean, there's so many other things for them and so much distraction. And I mean, we had the radio and TV. Mm-hmm. And I mean, if you didn't have cable, you didn't have MTV. So then all you had was like the radio. And I mean,
that kind of makes your life surrounded by music.
I have 2 young kids, so I get to see all of this stuff competing for their attention. And yeah, I don't know how any music becomes like the main thing in their life anymore. And like even music is so fragmented. I mean, what kind, like there's no one genre or anything that brings young people together. It's just so spread out, like
that's a good point.
I don't know how. I think we got to experience just a thing in time, and if that doesn't happen again, then that's what it is. Like, everything is forever moving forward and changing, and I don't know if anything's excluded or exempt from that.
Sure. No.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And I really remember the time that I thought music was like magic, and I thought it would never leave. And here it is, man. Here we are, And,
yeah, and not to turn this around for a second.
Yeah, I feel like I got to be playing sad music over this whole part, man. I don't mean to bring everybody down.
Drink to that.
I'm going to put some cool music underneath some like Slayer or something like that.
What is a band that you're listening to right now? Like maybe a newer band?
Somebody asked me this in another interview recently, and like, man, like I don't even know where to find new music. We listen to 91.1 in the car, and they play a lot of new independent artists, and sometimes I'll hear something I like, but nothing I really follow. The only band that fucking knocked me out was a band called the Lemon Twigs. I loved Jellyfish so much. I worshipped at the altar of that band.
Great band.
And a friend of mine that knew how much I liked them was like, man, I think you should check these guys out. Like they kind of remind me of Jellyfish. And I listened to some of it and I'm like, fuck yeah, that's pretty good. Like that sounds like some Big Star or Todd Rundgren or something. And then I saw them at the Basement East, and they
Lemon Twigs?
Yeah, switched instruments a lot, and every guy sang. So there's like 4 dudes singing and playing, and like I said, there's a lot of like Todd Rundgren and Big Star and like solo Beatle influence. I am a power pop guy. It's like really the thing I was into. I mean, I love power and hard rock and stuff, but ultimately my heart is in melodic stuff with lots of harmonies and just
that's cool.
Great songwriting.
The Beatles, man, all kind of goes back.
Yeah, that's cool.
And man, they're really good.
So like, check them out.
I followed. Yeah, you definitely should check them out. I followed them on Instagram. So like when I'm doom scrolling or something, and they have something, like I'll listen to the whole song or something. So like that's how I hear it.
There's another band that's kind of like that, kind of hits people that way. That band Big Wreck. You ever hear of them?
I hear of them, and I hear I'm in a thread with a bunch of people like Tony Higbee from Tom Kiefer's band.
Yeah, they're a fantastic band, and they're like one of those all-around amazing bands, amazing songs, and they do different types of genres within their band. But man, like check out that band, and they should get their credit, man. They're just like a quietly amazing band out of Canada, I think they're from. And that's one. You heard.
You got me into them.
Yeah, very cool.
I didn't know who they were.
They've been around for years. Probably our age. And check them out. But I'm gonna look up that Lemon Twigs and see what they're about.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, anything with the Beatles and the harmonies, man, I'll probably get a taste of that.
It's good stuff.
I think we got to dive deep into some of these other things going on. Maybe some of your musical endeavors.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about like old Nashville.
Really?
Have y'all ever been to the Cannery?
Yeah.
Yes.
My first show was at the Cannery. I was a sophomore in high school. We went on first, and the guy that booked the thing, it was called the Six Pack. So there were 6 bands, and he just was so knocked out that like these 16-year-olds were that good. He put us on at 10:30 the next time. So I'm like 16, sophomore in high school, and I'm playing the Cannery on a Saturday in front of like fucking 800 people.
Oh, that's killer.
Oh my God.
And then we broke up a month later.
You better have that on video or
Me
something.
and the singer were like, we're going Nashville. Fuck you guys.
Very cool,
Oh my
man.
God, that's awesome. Dude, that was such a cool place too, by the way. Like the Mercy Lounge, the Cannery.
Yeah, the Cannery's reopened. I don't know if they've reopened the Mercy part, but it's not going to matter. Like, I don't know. They probably did a bunch of remodeling and shit and different people involved. I don't know. There's a certain spirit that is pretty dead for the most part now. Like, even the Exit In might be open, but it's changed hands. It's been remodeled, and I don't know. It's just not the same. Nothing's the same.
Yeah.
But the thing is that's okay.
Right.
Like, you can't hold on to that. Like, it's always going to be right here. The nostalgia's here. It's not there.
Right. That's a good point. Oh my God, that's so true.
Like I was saying about selling my Kiss stuff. Like, man, my memories and experiences supersede all of that crap. Like, any nostalgia's here. You're just trying to find things to reawaken it or keep it alive. And, you know, I don't need any of those venues to be what they were in the 90s.
No, that's a cool way to be, man. I think it keeps you kind of moving forward, man.
Yeah.
It's just
well, it's
because
very
everything is always forever changing and moving forward.
and you can,
Always.
yeah, and you could be happy about the memories we have, or you could be pissed that it left, man, and be like mad about it. But I think that's a really wise thing to say, and be
like getting mad about growing up, you know?
be all pissed off about it. Nostalgia, you know, with your 8-year-old self. You know?
Oh my God. No, I just want more cool things to like keep continuing in Nashville, regardless of what they are. That's why I'm always on the search for like new music in any way, shape, or form. You know what I mean? Like there's bands that I've gotten into recently that I didn't even know about like 6 months ago, and I'm like, I fucking love this shit. Like I love Kim.
Who's your favorite? Like right now?
Right now, that's kind of hard to say. I got a couple of them. Sleep Token's up there. Kim Dracula, I love him.
Yeah,
like,
that's
he's
pretty
fucking cool.
Pretty fresh.
I've never heard of either of those.
Sleep
Neither have I, man.
Sleep Token's awesome. So they're from the UK, and they do a lot of like melodic, like kind of dreamy but like heavy stuff. Kind of like a Tool vibe, but different, you know, like, but that's kind of the way it goes. And Kim Dracula, he did a song with Jonathan Davis from Korn that was fucking amazing. So you could tell he grew up probably listening to some of these guys, and he took it one level further.
You know
and
what
he
it
just
is?
made it heavy.
You know what he does? And, and he also uses like different genres. Like he's playing like
exactly.
banjo with like Slayer guitars, and like he's very creative that way.
He got noticed through TikTok, believe it or not. Like that
TikTok.
was how he got his music out there.
It's a way to do it.
I guess so, apparently, right? That's the only thing people are paying attention to. Like, that's the first thing is TikTok, you know?
Yeah. Everybody from my generation needs people to do that for them.
I know. We actually had to get on TikTok, and it took me a long time. I was like, I don't think it's my thing. And everybody's like, you'll find your niche. I haven't found my niche, but I'm on it. And it works, and it's cool, and I am meeting a lot of people.
I'm on social media begrudgingly.
Yes,
Gotta
like most
do it.
people.
Yeah, you kind of have to. My idol is Oddly Freed. Oddly still manages to get all these fucking killer gigs, has never had any social media, doesn't do it, and still manages endorsements and gigantic gigs. I mean, like, can you imagine, like, not having to do it at all?
Dude, he lives
That's
in town,
great.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Like he was on that Black Crowes record, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That first Rattle and Hum, wasn't he on that? Record?
No, he was on the Lions album, but he toured with them for the By Your Side tour and did the Jimmy Page Live at the Greek thing.
Yeah, that guy's pretty badass. That
You know,
Lions
like-
record though too, man. It's
I mean,
pretty
you know, like
amazing.
his resume is my dream resume.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, not any of the other stuff, just playing the gigs.
and he's got all that street cred.
ultimately not having to do any. You don't have to. It's just
Right.
like, and at this point, it'd be dumb to start.
Yeah, he's got a thing. He doesn't have to do it. That's the whole point.
I mean, look, I'm half joking. I do like interacting with people, and you know, I get a lot of nice messages, and you know,
Well, that's the nice side of social media. It's not all nice.
honestly,
we know that
it's
too.
not it's really about the obligation. It's nobody wants to have to do anything.
I think with the social media, isn't it kind of like you now you're responsible for 300 relationships that you would not normally have in real life. You know?
You also have to become a master in something that you never really
thought about,
planned on, or wanted to. And I mean, there are people that are great at it, and I follow those people and I watch their stuff. Like Phil X, I love his Instagram. He's always like energetic and funny and playing great fucking guitar and stuff. And you know, I don't like filming myself playing guitar, and it's hard for me to be funny and on it at my phone screen or whatever. If I were good at it, I'd do it. And you know, it is an asset. I'm not stupid.
But it takes something though. Like it takes like some type of personality to be good at it in a way. Like if you're good at it, man, you got to have
Ryan has a lot more upbeat energy than I do, so naturally he's better at it.
Well, I was going to say is that like it's kind of one of those things where it might make people feel bad that they're not that way, but they don't have to, because it's all different and it's all customizable. But it sucks just having that kind of like in the back of your mind. You're like, oh, everything, because I mean it's in one way, shape, or form, but you got to find a way that expresses you. And if that's not your bag,
if you want to be huge on social media, you got to be like a malignant narcissist.
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
And you'll be huge,
and you have to keep putting out content. And like, I don't know, man. Like I got a lot going on with like family and stuff all the time. It makes it hard to do. But like, you know, I'm sure you've both seen A Hard Day's Night, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So like the scene when they're in the club and Ringo and George are out there dancing, but then Paul and John are sitting at the table and Paul's being chatty and John's just kind of like, I'm John.
You're just like, I'm good
I'm
here.
Kind of a quiet dude. I'm the listener. I'm not real chatty.
Observant type.
Understand.
What do you call that one thing when you don't even say goodbye, you just kind of leave?
That's an Irish goodbye.
Irish goodbye.
Yeah.
I am the fucking king of that.
Dude, I thought I was, man. I'm trying to be more.
I only do that. Man, if you say bye to one person, you're going to be there for an extra fucking 30, 45 minutes. Because
you get stressed out with being like, shit, there's 25 people over there.
And, you know, I've done that for a long time now.
Yep.
And then, you know, I know people like, well, I've got to say, I'm like, no, you don't. I've been doing this for years. And you know what? They're all still my friends.
Right, yeah.
I haven't lost any friends over this yet. Oh my God, I can't believe Jeremy left and didn't say goodbye to me. It's just like, didn't happen, never happened.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I love that.
I'm a lone wolf too, man.
Yeah.
I kind of like, you know, sit
I'm
in
the
this room.
opposite. I'm saying goodbye to everybody. And
No,
he's
man,
like,
when I'm ready to go,
go,
I'm ready to go, and I'm leaving right now.
right this second.
Oh my God.
He's the same way. He's like
Lisa.
go.
Lisa always like every time we make an exit to get out of here, Lisa will like keep the conversation for 20 minutes going. I'm like, come on, let him fucking go, or let's get the fuck out of here. And she just keeps asking questions. I'm like, okay.
Or I'll sit there and I'll say goodbye to everybody, and he'll be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm saying goodbye to everybody." He's like, "Do you really think that's necessary?"
Yeah.
And I'm like,
We're
"I don't know.
Irish, babe. We're Irish.
We're Irish today." I'm like, I'm Italian New Yorker. I can't help it. I talk a lot. Well, speaking of Irish goodbyes, let's have you on the show again.
Whatever you need to do, we can do that.
No, I think that's great. I think we should make it happen. And maybe it's one of those things where we can talk about it and see if, you know, Ryan or Phil can come on board and we could do...
Phil will not be back in the country till like the end of December.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Forget Phil then.
Yeah.
Where is he?
He's
touring,
in Europe
right?
right now.
Oh, who's he touring with?
Except.
Oh, I forgot
And then,
about that.
and then he's going to Sweden to do like this living room storyteller mini tour thing.
Nice.
So even when he comes back, honestly, I always expect him to just go to fucking Sweden and stay.
Right?
He looks Swedish. Is he Swedish?
We do have a residency show planned in March, though.
Oh, hell yes. Okay.
Where at?
Eastside Bowl.
Very
We'll probably
cool.
play at Eastside Bowl forever just because it's right up the street from me. And
Yeah.
Nice
and
and
it's
easy.
a cool venue.
yeah.
All right,
Cool
very
venue.
cool, man. We'll put that on our calendar.
Yes. Well, Jeremy, thank you so much for coming
No,
on the
thank you.
show.
That was a lot of fun.
Cool.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on and doing this
Yes,
with us, man.
we appreciate you taking the time with your busy family schedule and in getting, you know, in between the holidays and whatnot. This was great.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Awesome.
right.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Cool.
And now we've got this new drink. We need to give it a name.
Oh, it's going to be your name. It's going to be the Jeremy Asbrock.
Oh, awesome. I've got a drink. Yes.
We're doing it, man.
We're doing it at the top of the list.
You know, the cucumber is a very important part of this, though. It's going to taste totally different without it. So, like,
You're gonna have to get this.
Figure that out.
Yeah, or you're gonna have to add your own cucumbers.
I was gonna say, or I can just like put some cucumber in the tequila and let it just stay.
And it'll work. Or you can smash it up. There are various ways. There are ways. Cool. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.
All right. Peace out. Rock and roll. All right.
Hey there, thanks for tuning in to Nashville on the Rocks. We're so grateful for your support. If you're enjoying our content, we'd love it if you could hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. And don't forget to follow us on social media and give us a like on iTunes, Spotify, and all your other go-to streaming sites. Your feedback is super important to us, so please leave us a review as well. Thanks so much.